Alright, this is week 6, day 2. And here is the story about, not the story, the historical informational piece on Mexico's fight for independence. So, we're going to continue. The last part we read, it was crazy because they were talking about all these civilizations that were just disappeared right off the face of the earth and that there was no record of reason or why. It's just crazy. In 1517, a Spanish ship led by Francisco Hernandez de Cordoba, I'm assuming I'm probably just ruining it, Cordoba, sailed from Spain to Mexico. Mexico's native peoples had never seen white-skinned people. Sailboats, cannons, gunpowder, or horses. That's quite the list. I'm sure there's maybe more if that's what they haven't seen. They believed the Spaniards were gods who were led by Quetzalcoatl, a god of the tribes that the Aztecs had conquered. The Aztec Emperor Montezuma gave the Spaniards gifts of jewelry made of precious stones, silver, and gold. The gifts only made the Spaniards greedy for more riches. Jerks. But before returning to Spain, they fought native tribes to take more of their riches back home. Gosh, they're so nice. More Spaniards arrived by sea in April 1519. Yeah, I'm going to say that was going to be a quick turnaround. 2 years later. This time they were led by Hernan Cortez. Cortez hoped to take Mexican land for himself. Greed. When Cortez and his Spanish rule is this subject so this is the subheading, and this subheading is going to talk about Spanish rule. So he must have conquered or done something. When Cortez and his men, along with the native enemies of the Aztecs, marched into Tocantlilan or whatever, no clue how to say that. Anyway, they got to this city. They were amazed by the city's beauty with every building painted white. I'm gonna look that up. Montezuma gave dinner parties for the Spaniards and invited them to stay. Cortez repaid Montezuma's hospitality by imprisoning the Aztec ruler. Oh, what a nice guy. Cortez's men killed the Aztec leaders. Later, Montezuma was killed, either by the Spaniards or by his own men who were angered by his weakness. Soon, more Spaniards arrived to fight the Aztecs. Geez, this isn't going to go well. I'm worried. In the meantime, the Aztecs began dying of smallpox. Jeez, go figure. Smallpox again. A disease brought to Mexico by the invaders. The Aztecs had no defense against the disease. By the time the Spaniards conquered the Aztecs, 2/3, or about 130,000 of the people of Tocantlilan were dead. I guarantee you they may not have written about it, but that's probably how the other two countries, or the other two cultures, completely got wiped out. Not kidding. By 1550, the Spanish ruled Mexico. Disease such as smallpox brought from Europe weakened the natives. There were about 20 million native people in Mexico when Spain conquered the country. 100 years later, there were only 1.2 million. Oh my gosh. That is like insane. 18.8 million dead. Good night, Mary. That's insane. Spanish ruled for 3 centuries, calling the area New Spain. Well, that was nice. Boy, it's just like one jab after the next. The conquerors' main goal was wealth, so they stole Mexican treasures. They also set up a system in which Spanish immigrants owned the land. They made the natives their slaves. This created two classes of people in Mexico, the very rich and the very poor. Wow. Greed doesn't pick a race. People are just greedy. Over the years, the Spanish immigrants married the natives of Mexico. Their children were a mix of Spanish and native blood. As time went by, these mixed blood people became the majority. They considered themselves true Mexicans, not Spaniards or natives. By the beginning of the 1800s, the Mexican people yearned for their country to become independent. That's a long trip. Literally, just watch this. 1550, 1800s. $250, they decided now they need some independence, so they're going to go for it. They were inspired by the way the other countries fought to win freedom. Mexicans no longer wanted Spain to rule their country. They wanted to be a free country led by Mexicans. For that, they needed a revolution, a fight to replace the Spanish rules with their form of government. It's the same thing as the American Revolution. A revolution is when a country is fighting for their independence from another country so they can create their own rules. The Creoles. Revolution. The Creoles were the first group of Mexicans to think about the revolution. They were born in Mexico to parents from Spain who had settled in Mexico. I'm assuming that's a fairly general statement. Compared to people living in Mexico and born in Spain, the Creoles were regarded as a second-class citizen. They didn't have the same privileges as those born in Spain. They were unhappy with their lack of political power and began to plan a revolution. What goes around comes around. The Spaniards learned of their plan, and the Creoles were forced to begin the revolution ahead of schedule. I could see it now. I could just like a group of older people just like with chalk on a wall with like in a rock cave. Not that that's true, but I'm just telling you, it just kind of cracks me up. Very early in September 16th of 1810, a priest named Miguel Hidalgo, a Costilla, rang the bell of his church in the town of Dolores. He yelled, "Viva Mexico," which meant "Viva la Independence." This is known as the Cry of Independence. Hidalgo was calling out to Mexicans, urging them to fight Spanish rule and reclaim Mexico for their own. "Lord, I have done well. Thou knowest if ill to thy infinite mercy I commend my soul." Dude really need to use some words. By the end of October, 80,000 people had joined Hidalgo's army. Hidalgo's soldiers conquered 2 large cities and a few others, but they were defeated in the biggest city, Mexico City. But probably because they weren't up for the 7,000 feet that above it was. They probably had, elevation sickness. In 1810, Hidalgo was captured and killed by the Spanish, but the fight for independence continued. The next leader of the rebellion was another priest named Jose Maria Morelos a Pavon. He issued the first formal call for independence at a Congress he held in 1813. He wrote up a constitution for a Mexican republic. However, in 1815, Morelos was captured and killed by the Spanish. Dang. For the next 5 years, there was no real leader for Mexican independence, and by 1816, Spanish soldiers had killed most of the rebels. Whoa. Spanish king forced Mexicans to pay taxes, and the king's harsh actions caused many Mexicans who had taken part in the revolution to now turn against Spain. In 1820, there was a revolution in Spain, and the Creoles believed that this would be a perfect time again to try for independence. In 1821, a Spanish colonel named Agustin de Iturbide was sent with 2,500 Spanish soldiers to stop the Mexican rebellion in central Mexico. I'm not going to lie, I just hope they start to win because it's been downhill so far. A group of powerful Creoles approached the Iturbide. I don't know what that. I'm saying that wrong. In Iturbide, and convinced him to betray his Spanish commander. Oh, he agreed to fight alongside them with the army and the Creoles fight for independence. In exchange, Iturbide was to have the power to dictate the terms of the Mexican independence. Are you kidding me? Fell for it. Not look good. Not looking good. In September of 1821, Iturbide led troops to conquer Mexico City, the center of Spanish government. He declared himself the head of the new independent government of Mexico. Spanish officials escaped and returned to Spain. That seems like an awfully quick turnaround, but I'm glad that it all worked out. So I need 4 to 6 connections, questions. I have several questions, several questions. Is this gonna last? Can this last? That was so fast. Will people just turn against him? Who knows?